I am the Hooded Lid and welcome to my channel. A couple of weeks ago I did a video on perfumes to transition you from hot summer days to nippier fall. And I said in that video, if you want to see something of my favorite discontinued perfumes, or some of my favorite discontinued perfumes, to let me know. And somebody reached out and did ask me to do it. So here I am. I've gone through some of my collection, certainly not all, and I've decided I'll probably do about 3 videos. One of them will be fall winter scents, one will be spring summer, which I'll do months from now, and one will be things that are still out but they've been reformulated, so they're well worth seeking out the old ones. I'm going to break up fall and winter, which I'm doing right here, into 2, so I'll do 3 perfumes for each one, just because I happen to talk a lot and I don't think anybody's going to watch a 40-minute video on perfumes. I could be wrong. So without further ado, let's get into some discontinued perfumes. Some of these you may have heard of, some of them maybe not. My whole life I've been into perfume. I've gone through stages where I wasn't buying any, and I've actually gone through stages where I wasn't wearing any. But from the time I was a young teenager, I'd say from 12-ish, I was into it. First it was my mom's stuff, then it was whatever I could buy at the drugstore with my babysitting money, like Tatiana, I remember, from Diane von Furstenberg, and Babe, which was frontline, I'm associated with Margot Hemingway, who was a very big model at the time. And I feel like my tastes were never too mainstream. I was always wanting something a little bit different, or I appreciated things that had a little bit of an edge to them. I was wearing, in high school, there was a couple things I was wearing, but one of the things I was wearing was Estee Lauder's Youth Dew. And I remember a girl stopping me at the corner waiting for the light to turn, and she said, "Oh my God, you smell like my mom." And I was like 16, So that's me. My taste can be a little bit different. I really love the orientals, the darker scents, the cozy scents. That is my wheelhouse. So fall, winter is my happy place. I've got 3 things I want to show you today, and I have to say I wasn't aware of any of them when they came out. Let's go. This is something I was not aware of when it came out. In 1989, CHER did a perfume called Uninhibited. I got these bottles on eBay maybe 5 or 6 or 7 years ago. They weren't too expensive. This one I believe is an EDT, and this one is probably an eau de parfum, because this is a stopper. Here we have a nice little necklace, very CHER, and the stopper has a moon on it, and then it looks like, I don't know, a shell. It's like a half moon and a shell. I'm not really sure what that's about. Let's talk about the juice a little bit. This was inspired by Charles of the Ritz, which was a perfume by Revlon, which I do remember, and I do remember liking, and a vanilla by Jean Laporte. I was never a vanilla girl, so I'm not familiar with this one. The notes are lily, peony, dried fruits, ylang ylang, orris, magnolia, vanilla, heliotrope, and musk. This is so beautiful. I don't know why they don't bring it back, to tell you the truth. If you are familiar with the work of Christopher Sheldrake, or of the Serge Lutens line altogether, this fits in perfectly with one of their dried fruits concoctions. I can't think off the top of my head which one I would say it really suits, but I know that he definitely has some winter scents with that dried fruit, mulled fruit kind of feeling to it, and this is that. I'm going to put a little bit on. I've been testing these for the last several days just to get to know them again, because it's been a while. Now, to me, Charles of the Ritz was something that had some aldehydes going on in it, and even the eau de parfum opens with a little bit of aldehydes. There is a sweetness to this, probably from the vanilla, but it's not too sweet. It does have a fruity nature, of course, and it kind of fits into the gourmand but in the best way. Gourmands are kind of hard for me. They have to hit the exact sweet spot. Otherwise, I feel like they're too much like a teenager perfume. You know, they're just wanting to smell like watermelon and strawberries and kiwi, and that's not what is going on here. This is a little sparkling, but warm at the same time. Sweet from the fruit that is indiscernible, really. I couldn't say, oh, it's plum. Although, actually, I think there might be plum in this. It has a brightness to it and a richness to it at the same time. It has a very full body. And it does wear both of these. Let me think. I think both of these are stoppers. Yeah, I can't even get this off. Okay, I think I broke this. I think there's a stopper in this, which I'm not sure. I prefer, of course, this one. This is richer and deeper and more comforting. To me, if you were going to blend this with something, I would do it with something that has a fireplace kind of smell. I've never smelled the replica by the fireside, but I know a lot of people on YouTube seem to like it, which kind of makes me wonder, it might not be that great. I'm not a huge fan of replica. I think they lack a nice base. But this to me is a winter scent. I can see it with that burning wood accompanying it, and just a beautiful, in the depths of darkness of December and January, this would be amazing. I think it's actually very sensual and sexy at the same time, and I think those are two different things. It's really beautiful. It would be fantastic if you could find this in a bath gel. That would fill up your bathroom and you'd never want to leave. So that's by CHER, Uninhibited, 1989. I don't know who created the scent, but I do feel that it could be alive and well and thrive right in the here and now along the Serge Lutens. The next perfume is something that's really loved in the perfume world. A lot of people are upset that it was discontinued. They think it's incredibly beautiful. I personally have some struggles, and I'm going to talk to you about it. This is by Fendi. It's called Theorema, and it's a very interesting bottle. I have 3/4 of a bottle left, which I'm pretty pleased about. Let me tell you a little bit about it. Glasses. This came out in 1998, and the perfumer was Christine Nagel. I looked up her credits. I've heard her name before, and I can't say that she has done anything that I consider a favorite, or even a top 20. In fact, a lot of what she's done I haven't even bought. She does a lot of very commercial things, but worth noting, she's done several things for Jo Malone, which if you've seen some of my previous videos, you know I'm not a huge Jo Malone person, and more recently she's done some Hermès Essence. Now, Hermès Essences are only available at Hermès stores, so they're hard to come by, and I haven't been to an Hermès store in a long time. So I don't know if it's something that is good or not, but I know that they have a taste that's outside the box. So that's worth noting. And into the notes, Tangelo. Oh, I hand wrote these notes instead of typing them, and sometimes I can't read my handwriting. So there's Thai Shamoti something, but I looked it up, and what it is, it's orange from an Israeli orange tree. Jasmine, orange blossom, nutmeg, pepper. So we have sweetness of the jasmine and the orange blossom that's tempered with some spiciness and warmth from the nutmeg and pepper. Cardamom. Cardamom is a beautiful spice that I love in perfume, but it's very cooling. So the cardamom kind of tempers the nutmeg. Rosewood and rose hip. Osmanthus, rose, ylang ylang, cinnamon, Afghan spices, I'm not sure what that might be, and the base notes are sandalwood, sweet cream, amber, and benzoin. Now, when I bought this, it was summertime, and I bought it because so many people said it was fantastic. and I gave it a whiff, and I thought, well, I'm not really sure if I'm getting this. I have a story attached to this perfume. I had put it on a day that was probably 95 degrees. I took my dog for a hike, and he decided to go down a sandy hill into someone else's backyard, sniffing for something. He was a runner. He was a hunter, you know. If he saw something, he took off. And because he was in someone's property, I felt the need to go after him. What I remember from this is the perfume was so strong. I was so hot. I'm stressed about the dog. I'm sweating. The sun is beating down on me. And this was just choking me. It was so cloying. And that was the association I had with this scent. I tried it a couple of more times and I was just like, no. For this video though, I pulled it out and I gave it another try. I thought, well, this is interesting. This is interesting. Maybe. I kept on testing it and, you know, a little bit here while I'm testing something else a little bit here. And then I gave it a couple of days on its own. Now the weather is odd now. We're in fall, I know. But here we got a couple of cold days and then we got cold nights or cool-ish nights and pretty warm days. And I have found that this really works in those cooler hours of the day. And if it doesn't get too hot, it works very well. In fact, to me, this is kind of a floral oriental in the most unusual way. Most orientals are very dark and they're chewy and they're thick and they're warming and enveloping. This one, to me, has some of those elements of the spiciness, but if you were to visualize, for instance, just stick with me here, the syrup of a Coca-Cola, it's dark and chewy and it, you know, it's kind of like this, but it's like a molasses, right? This would be the opposite. It would be blonde. To me, this is a blonde oriental. It has this spiciness, a little bit of a floral, a little bit of warmth, but it's not too heavy. The base notes aren't thick and chewy. And it works perfectly in a cooler situation. And it might work in a cold situation. It's, you know, not that cold here yet, but I think it's perfect for the fall weather before it gets too cold. The orange is very interesting here. It's not used too much in American or French perfumes in the opening. Citrus is popular, but usually it's lemon or bergamot, or once in a while even lime. Orange is very unusual in French and American perfumes, but apparently it's kind of typical in Italian. And that gives it a little bit of a twist. It's something I'm wearing today. I sprayed it all over my shirt. Well, actually, I changed my shirt, so I probably don't smell it anymore. Let's give it a squirt. To me, oof, got some in my mouth. It doesn't taste good. To me, there's something very sophisticated. It's familiar in that it's an oriental, but it's unlike anything I've ever smelled before, and it might be unlike anything you've smelled. Oranges bring to mind the summer and the spring, but I don't think at its core, for me personally, I can't do this because it is too warm. There's too much of that amber and the benzoin warming things up for me to do that. So for me, I don't know. It's almost, there's something almost Christmassy about it, not because it's pine or peppermint or, you know, the typical Christmas associations, the gingerbread and whatnot, but it does have the nutmeg, it does have the cinnamon, it does have some cardamom, and it does have the oranges, which to me I kind of associate a little bit with Christmas. There's nothing mold or heavy about this. It's really different and striking, and if you can find a bottle on eBay or garage sales or whatever it is, I suggest I think it's really worth taking a look at. Next up is something from GUERLAIN, and this scent has a story. This scent has been through a journey. I'm going to tell you about it. This came out originally in 1999, and I took high school French, so be aware. It was called GUET-APENS. And it was a limited edition, and I believe it might have only been available at duty free. I'm not 100% sure. Then it was taken away. And then in 2005 it came back with a different name called CHER. And it was associated with a different perfumer, which is a little odd. Then it went away. Now, the last time I was in New York for business, I definitely had some perfume stores on my list because there are perfumes in New York that you can't find here. For instance, there's Cologne you can't find in Los Angeles, but there's a couple of places in New York you could find them. Well, I don't want to give away what my next video is going to be, but the perfume I bought that's in my next video was available in New York, so I was testing some things. And oftentimes when I'm traveling, I feel a little homesick, and I tend to buy perfumes. It helps me to associate with the place that I am, and I don't know, I just find it calming and soothing, and it's an important part of my traveling. I don't know why. I can't really put my finger on it. I know it might be a little odd. So I was testing out perfumes, and this was one of them. And I decided against this, and I don't know why. Maybe because I couldn't really put my finger on it, and I bought something that I really isn't my bag anyway. And I'm not sure why I bought that, but I didn't want to buy too many perfumes. Unfortunately, it went away. And then in 2007, it came back with a completely different name. This is Vol de Nuit Evasion. Now, Vol de Nuit is one of the Guerlain perfumes, and it doesn't smell anything like this. This is an EDT version of the EDT Attract-Coeur. This is also limited edition and only available in duty-free shops. It's such a beautiful, beautiful scent that even though it was discontinued and not available, whenever I was at a Saks, which isn't too often, I would go to the Guerlain and say, you know, I'm looking for this perfume. Oh, it's discontinued. I was just wondering if you had another one. No, we don't have any more. And I did this for about 2 years, and I kept on asking, and 1 year, 3 years after it was discontinued, at least, I said, I'm looking for this perfume. She goes, oh, we just got rid of the last one. I'm like, what? And they said, well, try this store in Florida. They're doing some construction. They might be going through their stock. I tried Vegas. I tried Florida. I tried everywhere. But finally, on eBay, this popped up. I got 2 bottles. I'm so thrilled that I have this. This is, look, if you're into Guerlain, this is confusing as all get out. Wrong perfume. The bottle is the same thing that they put Matsuko in. It beats me, but who cares? Oh. Let me tell you a little bit about the notes. Peach, rose, and violet. For me, it's primarily violet. Jasmine, tuberose, cinnamon, clove. So we have a little spice in here, which I guess for me is why I think it works well in fall, winter. They're warming, and they kind of temper the coolness of violets. I always associate violets with coolness and maybe with rain. To me, violets are great, I'm sure for everybody, in the springtime when you haven't gotten the heat yet, but it's not freezing anymore, and the rain is gentle and sweet and caressing. That's how I think of violets. Amber, vanilla, iris, musk, sandalwood, and oak moss. Now, I don't remember when oak moss was taken out of perfume, and it is very possible that there is real oak moss and they're not just selling it as oak moss when it's really a synthetic. But to me, the spices and the amber really warm this up and make it a beautiful and unusual oriental. Just like the Fendi Theorema is like a blonde oriental, this one is like a spring oriental, if that makes sense. I know that's not a category, but it's a floral oriental without that darkness at the bottom of it. And yet, it is still warming and comforting and enveloping, but it's sparkling at the same time. And I wouldn't say I associate any orientals with the word sparkling. To me, it's like a youthful, young, new, baby oriental. in a way. It sparkles, there's a lightness to it, and yet it's not light. And there's a sweetness to it, and yet it's not mulled or chewy. It's not honeyed necessarily. It's, I think, very unusual. It's, of course, Guerlain, so the structure is classically French, but the way, the ingredients that they used and the way that they weighed this out, I think is beautiful, and there's not anything else like it that I know of. I wouldn't say it's an unusual scent, but it's not familiar, if that makes sense. You don't spray this and go, oh, it smells like everything else, even though it's classically structured. If you can find this somewhere, Vol de Nuit, Evasion, I really recommend taking a sniff or even just blind buying. And if you don't like it, call me and I'll buy it from you. I have 2 bottles right now, and they will last me for a while for sure. And I'm still hankering for the original Attrape or the Gouet, but for now these 2 bottles will do fine by me. It's a beautiful, beautiful scent, and that wraps it up, I think. So we have kind of a a chewy mulled wine, mulled fruit, vanilla-y oriental that is comforting and dark and delicious, and I think works absolutely right now. Then we have what I like to call a blonde oriental. It's very unusual with the orange at the top. It's somewhat Christmassy, but it's not dark like the CHER. And then we have an oriental that I would kind of associate with spring because of that violet, which is what makes it so unusual. It has spiciness and coolness and warmth, and yet the floral body is still alive. I think all 3 of these have a commonality in that they're warming, but they get to that warmth in a different manner, if that makes sense. They're very different from each other. They're very unique, but they're not odd. And I love them all. And that's going to wrap it up for this one. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. I'm wishing you a lot of luck in your perfume hunting. I hope I've shown you some things you're not familiar with and given you some ideas. And I hope you come again. In the meantime, I'm wishing you a great day.